I, 31 male, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend, 27, for about a year. We cohabitate and have done so for the past 6 months. I blew about $200 a few weeks back, ordering some Wagyu steaks. I was looking forward to them coming because I love cooking and have never had a real Wagyu steak before. They arrived on Thursday evening last week, and I decided we'd have them for dinner on Friday night. My girlfriend seemed generally uninterested, as she's not much of a steak person, but she said she'd enjoy them with me. On Friday morning before I went to work, we had an argument. It was really stupid. She disagreed with me on a project involving the garage, and despite the fact that I owned the house we live in, kept trying to assert authority over the decisions I made. She then brought up the Wagyu steaks as evidence that I was wasting money on the project and expensive food. I went to work in a bad mood, but I texted her in the afternoon, saying I'd like to talk it over a bit when I get home, with a cool head. She didn't answer. I left work around 5:30, looking forward to the steaks, but when I walked in the door, there was this horrible smoke smell. My girlfriend greeted, grabbed my hand, and led me to the table. She said, "Dinner is served." The steaks were pitch black, completely inedible. Eating them would have been a health hazard. I asked what she was thinking, and she theatrically gasped with her hands over her mouth and said, "Oh, me?" Now, let me get one thing straight here. There's no way she accidentally got those steaks to that condition. Based on our frying pan, she probably turned the heat up as high as it would go, tossed the eggs on it without oil or butter, and just let them sit. This was completely intentional. I called her on her lie. She kept being obtuse. She kept using phrases like, "Oh, aren't you happy?" And, "Oh, weren't you looking forward to these steaks?" I've never been so disgusted with her. Well, her birthday was on Sunday, and I had reservations at a really nice French restaurant for her, her parents, and me. I just flat out told her that I was canceling the reservation. She immediately flipped and said to me that her parents would be super upset, but I didn't care. She grabbed the steaks and threw them in the garbage, where they would go anyway, and then stormed off. Sunday came and went. She didn't say a single word to me, opting to lock herself in another room. Her parents have had complete radio silence. I'm starting to feel bad about my decision, but did I go over the top here? Wow, she's the vengeful type. These people never get better. They're always just one misunderstanding or stupid argument away from scorching the earth on you. Not the idiot, but please break up right now, or be prepared to suffer this fate for God knows how long. And when you break up with her, be prepared. As a vengeful and frankly spiteful person, she'll likely try to destroy something in your home. I would recommend some nanny cams and hiding anything of sentimental or monetary value. At least with cameras, it'll be documented, and should the need arise, made available to the courts. What was her goal anyway? Did she think it would prove her point by doing this? I can't see what her deal was. She's a grown adult, man. We learned in kindergarten that this isn't a way of proving a point. What the heck? How childish. If this is how she acts after only living together for 6 months, I dread to think how much worse she can get. Send her back to her parents. Tell them to send her back to kindergarten, where her behavior's age appropriate. She's trying to prove that she calls the shots, and he can't do anything about it. If that were my house, she wouldn't have slept another night in it. OP, ditch her. What a childish witch. At her grown age? Nah, you're too old to play like that. You shouldn't cancel her birthday dinner. You should cancel the relationship. I, 29 female, am set to marry my boyfriend, 32, Cal, in September. We've been together a little over 5 years and engaged for about 9 months. One of the first things we decided on for our wedding was that it would be relatively small. We planned for, including ourselves and the bride and groom party, a total of 100 people. It was difficult to shave down our guest list to fit that, but we managed. And we'll also be streaming the ceremony so that those who can't attend can still witness our union. A couple of weeks ago, I thought Cal and I had everything figured out. Deposits paid, dresses and tuxes picked out, decorations ordered, etc. It may sound a bit early to have all my ducks in a row, but I've always preferred being as prepared as possible as quickly as possible over last-minute headaches. Anyway, I thought I had everything finalized and figured out, and then my dad, 47, called, asking if his girlfriend, 45, could come, because his invitation didn't allow for a +1. I didn't even know my dad had a girlfriend. My mom passed late last year, and I had no idea my dad had even started dating again. I told him there was no room, as the guest list had been finalized and explicitly stated there would be no allowance for additional guests or +1s. Here's where I might have been the idiot. Dad asked if his girlfriend could use my mother's seat, and I got incredibly upset. My mother's seat is an extra chair that'll be decorated and left empty for my mother in her memory since she can't be here on my special day. Pretty much everyone who's going to my wedding knows about this chair. Again, I very firmly told him no, that his girlfriend was not invited, but she was welcome to watch the live stream. Dad told me I was rude and ungrateful and that he'd call me back later, then hung up. He's not always been the most agreeable person, but this shocked me. He's continued to ask, and I've continued to say no, and he isn't slowing down. Am I being an idiot here? Not the idiot. I can't believe he has the audacity to ask if she can use your mother's chair. Holy heck! If your mom passed away only 1 year ago, I can only imagine that you're still mourning her loss. It's your day, and if you don't want someone you don't know there, you're allowed to make that choice. It would be different if they were dating for a while and you had a relationship with her already. I'm sure if you saw his girlfriend there, it would remind you of your mom and potentially make you upset or sad. I'm sorry for your loss. You are the idiot. 100 people is not a small wedding. I understand that different cultures have different expectations of what weddings look like, but 100 people is a lot of people in one place. I find it hard to believe that adding a single person could cause such issues, especially since the wedding's in September. I would assume your father's in the same shoes as me. For him, this might seem like a non-issue, so the only reason you're refusing it in his mind is because you disapprove of him dating. If you have issues with him dating and don't want his girlfriend at your wedding so soon after your mother passed away, then you should also be honest with him. Don't make an excuse for it. Wait, so it's only been about 5 months after her death, and he's already got a new girlfriend? One whom he thinks is serious enough to bring to your wedding and take on your late mom's honorary seat? That's beyond disrespectful. Seems like she's been around for longer than 5 months to me, especially with how he's discussing mom's chair. Sounds like he doesn't care about his late wife. It's kind of insane that your dad has moved on in less than 6 months and then asked you to give up your mother's seat. Honestly, I'm not sure how or if I would ever forgive that. You should change your plans and instead plan for 99 wedding guests. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope you have an amazing wedding and future with your fiancé. My wife's younger sister, Beth, 26, is in recovery for alcoholism. She's currently living in a sober house after getting out of rehab. My wife wants Beth to move in with us after the sober house so that she has a support system. Beth and my wife feel like living with us would be good for her until she feels comfortable enough to live independently. My mother-in-law and father-in-law passed away during the global issue, which was a significant catalyst for Beth's drinking, so my wife and I are the only family that Beth has left. I'm not totally against the idea of Beth living with us. I agree that she should have supportive people around her, but what I don't agree with is my wife's insistence that we remove all alcohol from our house. My wife isn't saying that we have to stop drinking to show solidarity with Beth, but we should remove all alcohol from the house, at least at first. I may have a drink 2 to 3 nights a week, but when we bought our house, it had an unfinished basement, which I turned into a bar and game room. It's pretty fully stocked, like stocked enough that we don't have room anywhere in the house to store all of it. Also, it's stocked enough that dumping all of it would be a huge waste of money. Drinking all of it would require multiple fraternities from the local college and multiple parties. I'd have to get a storage unit to keep it all, and it's not a feasible option. This has become a point of contention between my wife and me. I feel like we do have some options. Maybe Beth just never goes into the basement. I could put a new lock on the door and only I would have the key. My wife thinks I'm being unsupportive and that I care more about the bar and the alcohol than Beth's health and sobriety. I obviously care about Beth's health and want the best for her, but I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that basement, and I spent a lot of money over the years stocking it to this point. My wife thinks that if I'm not willing to dump the alcohol, I should start asking friends if they want anything and give it away. I told my wife that if we need to have our house be 100% alcohol-free for Beth, then maybe she isn't ready to live with us, and maybe she never will be. None of the options I've suggested have been acceptable to my wife. To her, it has to be all the alcohol gone. She told me it would be temporary until Beth feels more comfortable, and we can all take baby steps toward having alcohol in the house again. I told my wife that I understand her desire and need to support her sister, but that I feel like she's taking this too far by trying to change how we live our lives to accommodate Beth. I want to be supportive of Beth too, but I also don't want to completely change how I live just because Beth is an alcoholic. My wife thinks I'm being an idiot and that if I can't get rid of the alcohol, maybe I have a problem too. Not the idiot. Your wife is asking for a lot of accommodations, but isn't willing to negotiate for your comfort in your home. I wonder why locking the basement door with a hidden key isn't considered acceptable, as it'll prevent access. If sister-in-law isn't serious about getting sober, nothing y'all do will stop her from drinking, and the wife needs to get a grip. At this point, the OP should probably lock up the room from his wife too. If she's this unreasonable, she may donate it or destroy it herself and use her sister to justify it. Man, keeping the room locked up is a decent compromise, but Beth is leaving a sober house, and your house isn't expected to be sober. Absolutely. Also, who determines how long Beth stays? You, your wife, or Beth? If I were in that position, I would feel very uncomfortable with there not being a time limit on how long Beth could stay. What if she never leaves? For the last 10 years, I've been working my butt off to earn money so my family could enjoy an excellent standard of living. This was the worst thing to do, since it led to my wife deciding that since I was never home, she should bang other dudes. I earn about $240,000 a year when I work out of town. Where I live, child support for 2 kids cost about $3,300 a month with that salary. Since my divorce, I went to 50-50 custody, and I work in town, so I only earn $100,000 yearly, so my child support is actually only $800 a month. My ex is going nuts because she isn't getting what she thought she would. My lawyer friend has tried explaining that child support is based on income, and since I'm not working crazy hours to make lots of money for vacations and a huge house I don't need, I don't earn as much. She's telling everyone what an idiot I am for cutting back on my work to deprive my kids. That's BS. I have my kids half the time, and since I can't be out of town, I earn less. My kids have everything they need. Am I the idiot? Edit. All the extra income was from overtime. I cannot be forced to work overtime. My ex is a teacher. She should work her 2.5 months off in the summer to raise her children's standard of living. Not the idiot. She wanted you to be more present for your kids. You're doing that. Your wife has to deal with the consequences of her actions. OMG, dude, I'm so sorry that she still has hooks in you. Do not feel bad. As a child of parents who were never together, kids should never ever be seen as a source of income. They will feel that. $800 a month is plenty. She needs to step up and get a better job if she wants more money. While you clearly didn't meet your wife's emotional needs, maybe she now understands that your sacrifice was exactly how you showed love. The kids will be fine, and with 50-50, it's a blessing she's getting anything, on top of 50% of your shared assets. I wouldn't believe stories like this are real if I hadn't been through the same thing myself. The number of women out there who think their ex-husbands should hand over all their future income and live in a shoebox while funding lavish lifestyles is a lot larger than people think. Thankfully, it varies by state, though. The law says otherwise. Suppose for a moment you had made less money in the marriage to be more present at home. We all know she'd be banging other dudes because her husband doesn't provide for us. Can't win. My wife's younger sister, Ann, 31, has been staying with us for about 6 weeks after getting out of a rough relationship. Since she's moved in, I've noticed she talks a lot about how bad men are. I've also noticed her social media is now filled with similar sentiments. Lots of stuff about how men are liars, cheaters, and worse. I just chalked it up to her getting out of a relationship and post-breakup emotions. But then some of what she was saying and posting got pretty dark, to the point that I asked my wife about it and whether she thought Ann was okay. My wife said Ann is venting after a breakup. This is her way of processing emotions and getting her feelings out. She jokingly told me Ann refers to me as one of the good ones. I've never talked to Ann specifically about this stuff. Ann had planned a trip with some friends to Nashville for a long weekend. Her flight was last Thursday. My wife was supposed to bring her to the airport, but she had something come up at work that she had to take care of. My wife asked me if I could bring Ann to the airport instead. I told my wife that I didn't feel comfortable doing that because I didn't want to be alone in a car with Ann. My wife asked me why, and I told her I didn't want to do anything that Ann might take the wrong way. She asked me what I meant by that, and I told her that given Ann's recent sentiments towards men, I didn't want to be alone in a car with Ann. I told her it would be best for everyone if Ann got an Uber or a female friend to drive her instead. My wife got upset by this, told me I was being ridiculous, and said Ann would never lie about me doing anything wrong. I told her I wanted to believe that, but I'd rather her and Ann be angry at me for not giving her a ride than potentially have a life-altering, marriage-ending situation occur. My wife got more mad and asked me what exactly I was saying. I finally just came out and said that I don't want to be accused of anything by Ann or have anything I do or say taken the wrong way. So I feel the safest thing to do is avoid being in a car alone with Ann completely. She told me I was being ridiculous and making this way harder than it needed to be. She said Ann isn't like that and that it would be a huge favor to both of them. I told her that Ann would have to find another way to get there because I wasn't going to risk it. Needless to say, neither my wife nor Ann was happy with me. Ann sent me texts telling me I was no different than every other man and that she thought I was better than that. My wife thinks I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, that I don't trust Ann, that I'm an idiot for even thinking Ann is capable of something like that. There's a lot of tension in our house now that Ann is back, and I've been making it a point to avoid her unless my wife is around. Not the idiot. The fact that she switched to "you're just like all the other men" just because you're not giving her a ride should give your wife food for thought. That said, if you're not comfortable with someone alone, start recording on your phone, and if you're unable to record video, record audio. The sister needs to move out of your house, dude. This is just going to get worse. I'm a woman, and I've watched more than once women let bitterness over a failed relationship completely overtake their personality in life. It's very sad. Your wife isn't helping your sister by excusing her behavior. Her sister needs therapy, not enabling. Sister-in-law will now work overtime to turn OP and wife against each other. Sister-in-law would love to bond with her sister over a shared hatred. Misery loves company. Forget the trip to the airport. The sister needs to move out of your house, now. If she has spare money to take trips with friends, she has money to find a roommate housing situation somewhere.